Let's go live to the President of the New South Wales Teachers Federation, Rajendra. Henry, good to see you. A big day for you and for teachers in New South Wales. You've welcomed it as trying to shift the balance in terms of the resignations, people leaving the career in teaching. Will this end the teacher shortage crisis?
Well, it is certainly a very important step, building on the success of the campaign last year to achieve the historic reset of teacher salaries. There are a lot more measures to be worked on into the future, and I'll have more to say about that. However, this result yesterday overwhelmingly supported by the membership across the state in terms of their salaries, maintaining what they achieved last year, making sure that it keeps pace with inflation, and of course, making sure that we are competitive with other jurisdictions, and the raft of improvement to their working conditions. The negotiations were underpinned by both parties, the department and the union, that we must do a lot more to attract and retain the teachers, and that was all about making sure that we can look after our teachers who, quite frankly, over the last decade have had an escalating workload to such unmanageable levels.
Is it true that graduates would get six-figure salaries under this deal?
That's not true. I'm not sure where that came from, Kieran. They will go from 85,000 plus your 3%. That will not take you to a six-figure salary.
But either way, you feel that the trend that we've seen of the stress on teachers, as you've argued, people leaving the profession, that this will help correct the balance, along with a few extra planning days I'm advised as part of this arrangement.
Absolutely. Look, our teachers are committed to doing the good work in the classroom. Regrettably, though, over the last decade or so, certainly under the previous coalition government in New South Wales, their workloads outside of the classroom just grew out of all proportion and taken them away from what they enjoy in the classroom. And yes, there are additional planning days. The planning days have one fundamental cause, and that is to make sure that the lessons, the teaching and learning programs that they deliver are about making sure our students get the best outcome from when they come back from their school holidays. Our students are our priority, and that's what this is all about.
Now, what do you say to suggestions that things like the right to disconnect from 3 p.m. Is overreach? That teachers are fine, they've got to work during the work day, 9 till 3 when they're at school, but why shouldn't there be an expectation that there is at least some ability to contact teachers outside of those hours?
You'll be able to contact teachers, but we've got to understand that these are also people that have families and personal lives. And also teachers do a lot of work outside of the school day in preparation for the next day and the following week. The idea that teachers only work from 9 till 3 has always been a myth. This is about providing greater respect from the employer and the community in terms of the role that teachers play. Evidence has already shown us that the more and more that you pile on to teachers outside of the school day when they're doing everything else is driving them away from the profession. I'm sure we would all agree that we want to make sure that we have a qualified teacher in front of every classroom.
And have you got a message to the federal government as to what they need to do on this front? Obviously, you're pleased with what the Minns government has done. Is the federal government coming to the party in terms of funding?
We ought to celebrate the achievements yesterday, but there is a glaring omission from what is needed for our system in New South Wales, and indeed right across the country. There is a funding gap that exists in our system. Our schools are not funded to the minimum level of funding required, a level that was agreed to all the way back in 2013 between the then Prime Minister Julia Gillard and for New South Wales, the then Premier Barry O'Farrell. They promised that they would lift our funding, and it was a great deal, but unfortunately Tony Abbott came in and killed that legislation. But this is the opportunity for Anthony Albanese to be that Prime Minister for our students and close that funding gap. We need to continue to call on the Prime Minister to match his rhetoric about what he believes in terms of public education and provide the necessary funding. This is his great opportunity to be that Prime Minister that our public school system should celebrate. But at this stage, he is yet to come to the party with the funding that we need. It's a simple plea. Stand up for all students, not just some.